Well, good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. If you've made a New Year's resolution to eat healthier or lose weight, welcome to the club. Eating better and losing weight has always been one of the most popular resolutions. Unfortunately, it's also one of the least successful. That said, there are some strategies that you can use to help you stay on track. So today I'm joined by professional chef and founder of Pink Ribbon Cooking, Curtis Hem. Curtis has both professional and personal experience with the challenges of maintaining healthy eating resolutions. Great to see you again.
Thanks for having me.
Well, let's talk first about those challenges.
Well, the challenges I think are huge. I think people, they want to start the new year off fresh, and they have a lot of ideas and they have a lot of goals and they're very ambitious. And I think what, the number one challenge is they set unrealistic goal. I was talking to a friend of mine who wants to get back into a wedding dress. Well, that's 20 years ago. I don't know if that's real.
Yeah, that's not happening.
I'd like to get back to where I was in high school. I don't think that's a real goal. There's also our busy lifestyle. There's dining out. There's just a ton of activity in the house. I think the world of nutrition is really confusing. I mean, we spend a lot of time rooted in that piece of things.
Right.
There's all these nutritional pundits that are out there that really have, the best thing for you, and this is it. And really what it comes down to is, there's a few things that you can do immediately that are really good for you, but everything else is you have to kind of research it and study it, and so that takes time. I also think that food has, for a lot of people, there's an addictive quality to food. There's a comforting piece of that.
Absolutely.
And there are triggers. We eat because of triggers, boredom and stress, for me personally, stress in particular. And then I think for a lot of people, within the cancer community, which is where I spend a lot of my time, I think there's a reality that your metabolism changes after chemotherapy and radiation, and you have to adjust to that. So you kind of have to play into that. So what we wanted to do was offer a real simple 3-course meal here, and I wanted to get that going a little bit, and then we can kind of talk about some strategies.
Right.
Because I think everything we have here is a very strategic approach to maintaining everyday simple and healthy lifestyles, and we obviously can't forget that there's exercise involved.
Right.
And that's a critical piece because it is calories in and calories out if you're on a weight loss, but we're beyond that too. We're saying that there's a nourishment piece, and that we eat to feed our body. So the very first thing I want to do is I want to get these turkey breasts cooking, and this is a turkey breast cutlet. I just went to the store and bought a local turkey, a turkey breast, and I took it off the bone, but you can buy cutlets already. And so what I did was I took a very coarse grained pepper. I happen to like black pepper a lot. A little bit of oil in a pan, about 2 tablespoons, 3 tablespoons, preheated, and we're just going to set these in there. I'll use the famous phrase, we're going to set it and forget it, because I really want people to walk away from this at this point in time. And salt those either. So I think that's a really critical thing to consider, as we want to control our sodium. Sodium produces inflammation, which is one of the pathways to disease. So that's going. We're going to turn our heat down a little bit because we don't want to overcook that. We don't want to cook it too fast. And so this 3-course menu here is really, it's designed to bring plants back into the diet, to help us kind of control things. And when we control things, it's the strategies that we use to deal with a resolution, because it is one of the most popular, but it's also one of the first things to go. And gyms love us because we make these resolutions and we get a gym membership, and all of a sudden February 1st, it's just the pros that are there again, the people that go every day.
And I think too, people are looking for a quick reaction, a quick solution, and really what they should be doing is looking long-term over their lifetime to make some changes that can help them with their success.
It has to be long-term, and I think that, in my particular situation, I recognized over a year ago that I wanted to be a healthier person, and that I felt it was my responsibility to my wife and my son, that I owed them that, and that everywhere else in my life I was very responsible, but this was a place where I was negligent. But in that, the responsibility myself was to do this in a very sustainable and long-term way, and that I had hit a point where it was probably going to be 2.5 years before I could healthily get back to a weight that I thought was appropriate and that my doctors thought was appropriate. And I think that's something that we have to do. So I now have realistic goals. I'm aware of the challenges that I face. I have proactive solutions like our wheat berries and the turkey, and having some principles of professional cooking come into our life, where everything's a series of components and things, and I'll discuss that as we go forward.
Okay.
But also I try to keep my weekdays, because that's where the schedule gets crazy.
Right.
I try to keep those really, really simple. I try to spend more time in the kitchen on the weekends. And then, we can go over some more strategies, but it really is a focus on saying what is manageable, what is realistic, and what achieves the results that we're looking for. and that there's progress all along the way.
Because
So-
if you look at some diets that say, okay, well, you can't have caffeine, you can't have any sugar, you know right off the bat, you're going to
Right.
last, what, maybe a week without a cup
Maybe.
of coffee?
You know, I spend a lot of time working with cancer patients, and you know, there's a lot of recommendations with breast cancer patients: don't have a drink. Then you go to the cardiologist office, and the cardiologist says, well, a glass of red wine's not going to hurt you. And so you have to kind of walk these fine lines
Right.
and all this stuff. So, you know, turning our attention to the turkey, I've got some turkey searing here, and by setting it and forgetting it, what I mean is walk away. This is protein, and it's very lean protein. So what's going to happen is when it hits this pan, it's going to caramelize, and that caramelization is going to actually force the meat to, not the caramelization, but the heat is forcing the meat to kind of come together. It's going to release from the pan very easily. And so this isn't a non-stick pan. And then we get this
Look at
beautiful
that. Wow.
caramelized turkey, which promotes flavor, which we're actually going to make our sauce in this pan. So it's actually going to have a fond in the bottom, and we can see that fond right here. It's those little brown pieces in the bottom. That's flavor, and every chef knows that that's what you want to have in a sauté dish. But to a novice cook, what they want to do is they want to fidget, and they want to move this stuff around, and that's not necessarily the way we want to go.
I also couldn't help but notice the size of your cutlets.
Yes, so those are what's known as little like tornadoes or noisettes. So it was a turkey breast, and I just went and I cut across it. And so that two things happen. Again, it's a very lean protein, so it has very long strands of, particularly we see this in the turkey breast,
Right.
very long strands of muscle fiber. When I cut across that, I immediately tenderize it because I've taken that strand and I've reduced its size. So it's no longer as chewy as it once was.
Okay.
And I've sauteed it on those cut sides. So again, it's really working to denature that food, that protein. You know, and I think we're going to start our meal off with a really great, what we call our hearty wintergreen salad. And in that, what we have is we've got some, we can pull that over if you want.
Sure. All kinds of greens.
We do, and we have some greens that you're probably not familiar with. This one, we should know, this is parsley. Well, parsley isn't just an herb that just gets stuck on as a garnish. It's actually very flavorful, and it's a very healthy herb. It's also incredibly affordable on the organic market. It's 99 cents a bunch for organic parsley. We've got frisée. We've got radicchio, which is a bitter green. We've got some escarole here, which is a some people like to call it pungent. I don't. I think it's just it's a flatter taste, but it's incredibly beneficial for us nutritionally. And there's some romaine lettuce in here. And so this is really easy. We're going to take some pomegranates. These are seeds. This is what a pomegranate looks like when you cut it open. I wore black today instead of white because I knew I was going to play with pomegranates. But you just basically pull the seeds out. And these seeds are they're juicy, and if you buy them fresh, they have
fun
a little,
to eat.
yeah, they're fun. Kids love them. So we're going to take and we're going to spread some pomegranates. Now these are rich in antioxidants, so they're really good for us. So we're not going to skimp on this. If you notice the size of the salad too,
Yeah, it's nice size.
it's a great strategy for someone who likes to eat. And yeah, we can put some blue cheese on there as well.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, we have a little wet rag there so we can wipe our hands
Okay.
after.
Yeah, this looks delicious. See, this could be a meal in itself. For
It
me,
is,
but-
and I eat this every day. Not the blue cheese every day, but I eat the wintergreens every day.
Yep. And there's really no excuse not to, because a lot of this stuff is prepackaged.
Correct.
Which makes it very easy.
And what you want to do is, you know, if you're very into organic food, you want to buy as organic as possible. I am going to do one thing here. I'm going to throw some shallots in my pan, and that's going to be one of our flavor agents.
Now, a lot of times recipes call for the shallots first.
They do, but I like to sear, and I really wanted that crust that we see here on both sides,
Yeah,
because that's going to produce flavor, and that's going to produce an umami sense, a very satisfying sense. Strategy is to have your dressing ahead of time. So this is a little squeeze bottle. You can buy them anywhere. Extra virgin cold pressed olive oil and red wine vinegar. Nothing else. No
That's
salt. No nothing.
It looks
Shake
about
it
half
up.
and half of each.
Yep. A traditional salad dressing is 3 parts to 1 part. 3 parts oil to 1 part
Right.
vinegar. We don't do that. So then we just kind of squirt around. And then people usually don't salt salads, but a little bit of coarse sea salt is a good thing. And that
Fabulous.
one's done.
Okay, I'll put that back.
Now, to my turkey here. We're looking at this and we're saying, well, that's not done. No, it's not done, and I didn't want it to be done because we're going to actually deglaze our pan with some brandy.
Okay.
So again, we're thinking alcohol. This is going to cook off. The one thing, I always keep my alcohol, especially liquor, closed, and I always pull off the heat.
Good thinking.
I didn't lose my hair by accident. So that's known as deglazing. What that's doing is that's taking all of those little pieces in the bottom of the pan and releasing them. So there's a little bit of acid in there, there's alcohol, and now we're going to add some stock. You could use turkey stock, chicken stock, beef stock. I would say if you want to go vegetarian, you could do mushroom stock, but since we're eating turkey, that's probably not going to be the option of choice. But mushroom stock is beautiful in that. So we're going to turn our heat up high.
Now I notice you have everything out already, measured, set to go.
Yes, and so the strategy we have here is our greens are washed on Sunday when we do our groceries, and they're bagged up and they're in the cooler. So all I have to do is grab a handful of greens, stick them on a plate, top it with whatever I want. Our dessert is a chocolate-covered apricot. So it's dark chocolate, a little bit of sea salt on there because, again, it really, that whole flavor combination, you don't need a lot. There's a lot of sugar in apricots, surprisingly.
Right.
So we want to be careful with that. And then everything is mise en place because it makes the actual cooking easier. And that's the whole goal. Now, if you're proficient in the kitchen, you don't have to do this. And if I was at home.
But I get sidetracked if I've got to chop stuff and then watch stuff. And then if everything's out, then I'm good to go.
Yeah, and it just, I mean, we can't cook professionally without what's known as mise en place. We have to do this because it's all a series of components. And it's really no different. If we're busy at home, I'm busy in the kitchen. So we have to kind of work with that. What we can do, though, is we can start plating up our dish. And so these are wheat berries and wild rice. So some friends of mine gave us some authentic wild rice from Minnesota. And then these are wheat berries, and these are whole berries of wheat. This is what flour is made from, and this is what's known as a hard red wheat. And so these have a really good chew to them. They are very low on the glycemic index compared to flours because they actually, you have to break the whole thing down. So if you want to go ahead and plate those on the middle plate, and I've got some carrots here, too, that we can put up. And then on our sauce here, so we have a brandy peppercorn sauce known as a poivre. I think that's plenty for probably one person because they are calorie dense. So there's a lot of calories with that. Yeah, I was going to say we're going to need that. Use tongs if you want, if that's easier.
Sure. Now these are carrots and anything else in here?
Just a little bit of butter, just a
okay.
little bit of butter and some water and a touch of salt. Those are actually Pete's Greens clean carrots.
Yum.
They're really sweet right now. They're a great find in the market, but you can also find a lot of other local carrots.
Okay.
And so our sauce here, we're pretty much reduced by half. And you don't have to go crazy. I actually like a lot of this sauce because it's actually very good for you. It's stock, and this is sodium-free stock, so it's really just straight protein in a liquid form. And this is evaporated skim milk. So traditionally, a poivre sauce is either finished with a little bit of butter or it's a straight demi-glace, but we're not using demi-glace, which is a very reduced thick stock.
Yeah.
So we're going to finish this with cream, which is the other way to go. But we're actually using evaporated skim milk to cut our fat content down. And it produces that same creamy consistency.
Beautiful.
So why don't we grab that plate?
Okay.
And then I'll go ahead and plate just a couple. Thank you. So 2 is the serving size. So that's about roughly 5. I'll grab that.
Okay.
Roughly 5 ounces raw weight. And we can go ahead. And then this sauce can reduce quite a bit longer if you want it to, and you get the viscosity that you want. So, but again, this is a real simple, under 500 calorie, 550 meal. And so
For all this?
For all of this. And the benefit is because we're using these greens as a starter course. So if you're someone like me that really likes, you like volume of food, and you've got to find a way to incorporate plants to get that volume. There's a great graphic I have on our website, and it's 2 different stomachs. And it's a stomach on a McDonald's diet, and it's a stomach on a plant-based diet.
Right.
And it really is, it's the volume of the food. And this salad is incredibly filling. It's also great fiber for your body and your colon health. It's always, funny we talk about, these things with food, but it really is critical that we understand that. So we've got great fiber here. We've got great fiber here, soluble and dietary. And so we've got a lot of flavor. We've got a very pungent blue cheese, probably about, a couple tablespoons of blue cheese on the salad. We've got a really good, high-quality cold-pressed olive oil and vinegar. Very inexpensive as a whole. You're only using a tablespoon at the most of this dressing. So there's about, 5-6 grams of fat. Very lean protein, and then we're on to our dessert.
Well, Curtis, how can people find these recipes because they're available?
Our pinkribbоncooking.com is our website, and it's not just for breast cancer. I mean, seriously, it's talking about whole foods and real foods for real people.
And really a good strategy for the long haul.
Yeah, very sustainable resolutions.
All right, well, thanks so much, Chris.
You're welcome. Thank you.
That's our program for today. I'm Judy Simpson. We'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.